That being done, please join me in beginning our evening tonight as we begin all things here at CBC, and that is with prayer. So let us remember that we are in the holy presence of God. In the name of the Father, and Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. This is a prayer I found on Catholic Online titled, A Prayer for Refugees and Victims of War. Lord, no one is a stranger to you, and no one is ever far from your loving care. In your kindness, watch over refugees and victims of war, those separated from their loved ones, young people who are lost, and those who have left home, who have run away from home. Bring them back safely to the place where they long to be, and help us always to show your kindness to such strangers, to all in need. We ask that you grant this through Christ our Lord. Amen. St. John Baptist de La Salle, and live Jesus in our hearts. Once again, I want to thank you all and welcome you for coming tonight. For those of you who have been here before, you've heard my spiel, I'm going to give it again. For our speaker series, I bring in folks from various walks of life: science, technology, law, medicine, politics, law enforcement, military, athletics, and so on. No one like Ms. Williams, however. People who have been given a gift of some type, who have recognized it, developed it to the best of their ability, and have found a way to use it for the greater good. I really like the passage from one of Luke's Gospels that reads, "To whom much is given, much will be required." All of you young men sitting here tonight have been given a gift, and it is my hope that all of you will one day recognize it, develop it, and find a way to use it for the greater good. Now, typically this would be where I would give a bit of background on our guests, tell something about their backstory, if you will. However, Ms. Williams' backstory, I suspect, will make up a large part of her presentation, so I will not presume to try to encapsulate it in a sentence or two. I am quite sure she will relate it in a much more poignant fashion. So, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome, please, for our very special guest tonight, Ms. Marie Christine Williams.
Hi, I'm very thankful and so blessed to see you all. I'm so excited to share with you about not only about my past, to share with you the power of God, because my higher power is Jesus Christ, and without Him, I wouldn't be here today. First of all, for my background, I would like to share a short video of, the ethnic between Hutus and Tutsis. Then we can go forward with my story.
Okay, 100 years of Rwandan history in 3.5 minutes. Let's see how we go. Before the Europeans came, people knew where they stood. The elites were the Tutsi and the peasant masses were the Hutu. Rwanda was ruled by a king, and he was a Tutsi. Tutsis loved their cows with their beautiful long horns, but the Hutu farmers thought the cows were a nuisance, always trampling their crops. In the 19th century, the Europeans divided Africa up and colonised a bit each. Germany got Rwanda, but after the First World War, the other countries told the Germans that they couldn't play with their African toys anymore, and gave Rwanda to the Belgians. The Belgians found the Tutsi easier to get along with, more like themselves in fact. So in 1933 they introduced ethnic identity cards and made sure most of the jobs and education went to the Tutsis. After 25 years of being exploited by everybody, the Hutus decided that since they were 85% of the population, democracy, or something like it, sounded pretty good. The Belgians saw the writing on the wall and promptly switched sides and started supporting the Hutus. This was a surprise to everybody, and things got a little crazy. Hutus started using their newfound power to squash the Tutsis, and then a couple of years later, in 1962, 1952, Rwanda got its independence from Belgium, but it was more like a bloodbath than a democratic revolution. And for the next 35 years, Rwanda and its neighbours got caught in a cycle of killings and revenge. Hundreds of thousands of people became unwelcome refugees in surrounding countries. Many Tutsis fled north into Uganda, which was like jumping out of the frying pan into the fire because Uganda had its own murdering dictators. So for decades, those unhappy Tutsis dreamed of going home to Rwanda. Meanwhile, south of Rwanda, in a little country called Burundi, the Tutsis were still in power and murdering the Burundi Hutus. So the Hutu refugees from Burundi fled into the south of Rwanda, determined that they would never let Tutsis treat them like that again. Yes, it's getting complicated, isn't it? The Hutus in Rwanda didn't know what to think. On one hand, they'd overthrown their Tutsi masters and got power for the first time. But on the other hand, there were plenty of Tutsis left, and one day they might come looking for revenge. The Hutus were very afraid, and some of them decided that if things ever got ugly again, they wouldn't make the same mistake twice. Next time, they'd wipe the Tutsis out completely. Meanwhile, huge amounts of foreign aid money was ending up in bank accounts of corrupt Rwandan government ministers. But life wasn't getting any better for ordinary Rwandans. In 1989, world coffee prices collapsed and hundreds of thousands of Rwandan farmers lost their incomes. In 1990, many of the children of the Tutsi refugees in Uganda decided it was time to come back to Rwanda and sort things out. Their rebel army, the RPF, marched out of the Ugandan bush to make war on the Hutu Rwandan army. The Hutu government of Rwanda saw a way out. They got on the radios, they made speeches. The Tutsis are coming, those snakes and cockroaches will murder your children, they'll take away your land and they'll turn you into slaves. A few other countries tried to get the two sides talking, but it was no use. The leaders weren't about to give up their power, they kept stirring the crazy pot until Hutus were nearly out of their minds with fear. On the 6th of April 1994, the Rwandan president's plane was shot down, and the message went out. Those Tutsis have killed the president. It's time to get to work. Kill them all.
My story starts when I was 2 months old. I was born in Romania, in Bucharest, border to Russia and Slovenia. I just want to say something first. Is this the same question I ask myself and people ask me all the time? First of all, I'm going to say, how long does it take one body to recover from broken bones, gunshot wounds, the gashes from machetes? For me, it took me 22 years and counting to realize who I was and find myself. After 20 surgeries, my body has recovered, but the scars, they're still there, especially the scars from my heart, a broken heart. I learned some people, they can be capable of evil. Some people also, they can be heroes by helping one another. So I'm still here because of generosity of strangers who risked their lives so I could live. Not every Hutus die bad. I moved to Rwanda when I was 6 years old. I was raised by my stepmother and my Rwandan father. My life in Rwanda was very horrible. I had a very terrible childhood. When I turned 14 years old, instead of running away from my family and go find happiness, actually I was running away from everyone. I remember when it was in April, I was sitting in my father's backyard. I heard the neighbors screaming. That day was April 7th, when my life changed forever. I heard my neighbors screaming. I became very curious to see what is going on. I climbed the fence between our homes. We had concrete fence between our homes. I saw my girlfriend, Arina, running towards me. Then I saw someone running after her. Actually, her family was attacked by the Hutu members. So all of us Tutsis, they put us on risk. So all these bad guys, they actually knew how many members who were in each household. So every time they looked at the list and they grind up, okay, we're going to this home, we're going to this home next. And they didn't work alone, they were like tons of people, like 20, 30 people together, working together to hunt Tutsis down. But it's not all Hutus that are bad, because the reason I survived, actually, it was a Hutu person who saved my life. Actually, he even died for me, trying to save me. So, my only mission today, the reason I'm doing speaking engagements and sharing my story, is not to tell you about my childhood, like, oh, I had a very bad life. No. I remember one thing. I cannot change my past. All I can do is focus on my future and move forward and find something I want to do in life and do it. That's my mission today. So I'm standing here speaking for over 1 million of innocent people who died from the hands from the friends and neighbors. In only 100 days, almost 1 million of people died. So after my house got attacked, my neighbor's home was attacked, then my house was attacked. I didn't get a chance to go back to my home. I went and I hid in the flowers we had on the corner of, my father put a tree. And so what we did is he never planted another tree, so I hid there for a while. Then I remember smelling smoke. That smoke was coming from my home. My home was also attacked. I didn't have shoes on, I was in short and t-shirt. I decided to go to my neighbors, a neighbor of ours who saw me growing up. Actually, these people raised me, helped me growing up. I think he was very scared to hide me because it was a big risk that these Hutu people will come in and, searching homes, and there would be any danger if I was found there. I took off running. I went towards the jungle. For 100 days, I had no food. I was naked. I had nowhere to go. I remember my first time I got caught by the Hutu people. This guy asked me who I was and where I came from. I just pretended like I didn't hear his question. And he asked me to sit on the side of the road and wait with the other women. Something happened that day. As soon as he asked me to sit down, a big truck came in. It was a big blue Union truck came. So he rushed off to see what was in that truck, because they were searching cars, making sure that nobody's hiding us anywhere. When he left me, I took off running. Because where I was a couple of weeks before, maybe a couple of days, I was lost all the time. A minute was like an hour to me. I remember meeting a guy in bushes where I was hiding. This guy just lost his wife and children. He was lucky enough to escape. So he found me where I was hiding and he told me, "You're young, you can run, don't let them catch you. If they catch you, don't make it easy to them, you can run faster than them." So these Hutu people, they're not all did this killing innocent people. It was very good moderate Hutus too. So the reason everybody was against each other is because the government turned everybody against each other. So they had this Hutu broadcast radio. Everything else was shut down. Was no water, was no electricity, was no phones, but only one Hutu radio was actually sending rumors to all the Hutus that if you don't kill Tutsis, that they're in danger. So they brainwashed them. And the saddest part about this is the reason I always tell people, especially us young children, my message to you, look at me where I'm standing here. 20 years from now, who knows who's going to be standing here? Don't judge people by the color of the skin, or where they're from, or who they are. Just judge them by their character, for their moral. Encourage each other, love each other, respect each other. You know why? Because if you judge someone, someday something's going to happen. 20 years from now, who knows who is going to stand in my spot sharing this horrible story. So my message to you, young kids, I know you're young and you think you know everything. Look at me. Every time you want to judge someone by the color of skin or where they're from or whatever, just remember that someone like me suffered because I was judged by my height, by my ethnic. I couldn't even choose to be who I want. If I wanted to choose, I would not be even, I would not be standing here right now. I could have been even dead. So we don't judge each other. Just let's encourage each other and let's love each other. And my message to you, don't ever look somebody and say something bad to them. You know what? Because if you treat me the way you want to be treated, you're going to be happier in life, you're going to succeed more, and you're going to get everything you want in life. Your dreams, they're waiting for you. You can chase your dreams too, like me. I got education. I went to school. I got education. I have a law degree in criminal justice. And if I was stuck in my past, I would not be somebody today. So I never got drunk. I never done drugs. I never ever even thought about doing it. Maybe that could have been the best way for me to escape. Not thinking about the things I went through, oh my God, my horrible life and whatever. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I know you guys are trying to find yourself. So, me continuing my stories, I spent 100 days naked in the bushes by myself. I remember the first time I was caught by the bad guys. I was able to escape. I went back towards the bushes. Then the second time, they caught me, they locked me in school with many other women. Every time these bad people came to pick women, they would pick them and they would take them and kill them. So every time they would come in, I would hide behind other people because I didn't want them to see me. But you know what? God protected me. Maybe He saved my life. Like that, I can stand here and remind you that no matter what you want in life, go get it. Remember, be happy. And another thing is, I was so glad that I survived. I still can't believe myself that I survived. So the first time they came me, I was holding a small baby. Her name was Angel. This beautiful girl, I found her sitting beside her parents' body, and I took her. I had nothing to give her but love. I remember they marched us on a bridge. I'm looking at that beautiful baby and I said, I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you. She reached up to me, she touched my face, and she smiled. She was like 6-7 months old baby. She smiled. I didn't want to stand there. to wait for my turn, for them to get me. I took off running backwards. This bad guy wasn't happy enough. He shot me in the leg. He came quickly, he dragged me back on the bridge. He dragged me back, I was screaming and holding that little baby. He snatched the baby off my hand, but that baby survived. That's what I want to get to my story, That baby survived. They threw that baby off the bridge. For some reason, that little beautiful baby, she had only broken bones and broken ribs, so she survived. And she was the most beautiful girl I ever saw. Then I remember this bad guy holding me down with his foot on my head. I moved. He hit me 3 times. I don't remember the 3rd time he came in. He hit me in the head very bad. That's the last thing I remember about my life. It took me, after that, they threw me off the bridge, left me to death. After that, I remember hearing voices. And this guy, he said, we found one. Oh my God, we found one. This guy, I thought he came back to finish his job, to kill me. He said, I'm a very good guy, I'm here to help you. He took me back where they were hiding with the other people. These were Tutsi who freed the country in the 1950s. They came back actually to help us because nobody wanted to help us. But they came back because they were being refugees. Refugee, it is somebody who free a country because of the country, it was no peace and they were in danger. So refugee is when you run from wherever you are and trying to seek safety for you and your family. So these people, they lived over 40 years, 50 years in countries and borders because they were scared to come back, because of the Hutu people. They were very bad towards the Tutsis. I remember they took me at the hospital. It was the worst hospital you can ever imagine. It was so many dead bodies. It was bad people everywhere, and it was so disgusting. And everyone was dying. I remember thinking, is this my turn to die, or what's going to happen to me? Everybody next to me, they were dying. We had no doctors, we had no electricity, we had nothing. We had no medication, we had no food, we had nothing. So my message to you today, I'm not trying to tell you about my bad life, I'm just wanting to remind you, remember, if you don't have to survive a civil war to be a hero, you can be a hero in your own way by helping someone in need, by being respectful, and by doing something good for someone on earth. You don't have to survive a civil war to be a hero. You know what? We are all survivors because I know each one of us here is struggling with something. It's not only me, it's not only one person here. I think each one of us, we have a past that bothers us very much. What I can tell you is the way you cope with your life that will help you focus on what you need to do, to focus on what you want. If you want something, you can go and get it. Don't be stuck in the past like so many people I know. They sit back and say, oh my God, my life was bad. You know what? I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I want you to go get your dreams like I did. Like I went to school, like I don't blame other people for things happen to me. You can go and do what you want to do. And you young kids here, I just want to remind you, someone like me, I don't have parents. If you have parents, every day tell them how much you love them and appreciate them and be thankful for them because you know what? Someone like me, I don't have any parents. The way I got in the United States, I met a wonderful man who was from Sango West. He was actually flying to Africa. He worked for American Refugee Committee. So he came back with his organization to help people who just, survived the war and stuff. So I met him in airplane. He helped me very much. We ended up getting married. And unfortunately, he passed away 2008. And he left me a beautiful son, which he never goes to my events. He's sitting there. So I'm very thankful for him. And I'm very, very thankful that I'm still alive and I'm sharing my story with others. I think it's time for question and answering, if you guys have any questions. We have 10-15 minutes.
Questions, anybody?
Yes?
What's the state of affairs there now?
Today in Rwanda is, okay, after the war, they got donations and the country is beautiful today. We don't have any more Tutsis or Hutu. Everything is changed today. It's beautiful and safe. Anyone? Yes?
You said that you like a big 5-year down tax.
Yes, actually what happened, I have only had 12 minutes to tell you my story. My story takes like 3 hours. So, anyway, that girl survived. She's still alive. She lives in Rwanda. I help them as much as I can. And I'm very thankful that I fought so hard for her and she's still here. And she's happy and she's succeeding. She goes to school and she's doing good. Yes.
Did anyone, make it outline, like irritate or friends?
Okay, I had all my neighbor kids I grew up with. Unfortunate, they all died. So I don't have anyone who survived in my neighborhood. Actually, I was lucky to be able not to be in a house with my parents, because if I wasn't in that house with my parents, I would not be here today. Yes, please.
Have you been back to Rwanda?
Yes, the first time I went back, it was like 4 years after the genocide. I wanted to go back and see if any of my friends survived. I went back, and the nightmares, they were horrible. I went back and I looked all of my friends and I went to everyone's home. I was in a wheelchair at that time. I couldn't even walk. It was times in my life I couldn't even feel my feet. So when I went back, actually I went back to my old memories. It was horrible, but now everything's changed. Whenever I go back, I feel like I'm in a safe country. It's not the same Rwanda I knew growing up. Yes, please.
What is life like for a teenager today?
Is what?
What's life like for a teenager in Rwanda?
Actually, you know what? The new government, the Tutsis, now they're in power. So they're trying to change this kind of Tutsi Hutus. Is no more separations. Life in Rwanda today is beautiful. Is more business coming in. People love each other. Nobody judge each other anymore. And it's a nice place for business. Not for me, but for other people. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes, please.
What I know of the situation comes a lot from the movie
Yeah.
Untitled Chapter. Can you talk about that? Did you see the movie? Did you know anything about that at the time?
Actually,
What were your thoughts?
yeah, actually I lived 15 minutes away from Hotel Milcorin. 15 minutes away walk, not driving. Because, I wanted to go there. Actually, I have it in my book. how I was struggling to get there. I couldn't. I watched the movie after 12 years after the war. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I was actually shocked because the story, it was mostly about a Hutu guy he had everything he needed, helping others, but, it's not as bad as it. I will give you a copy, you have to read my book. So, it wasn't that bad.
Anything else?
Anyone? Yes, please.
Lived in multiple countries.
Yes, actually, I was born in Bucharest. My mother, she's half French, half Romanian, and my father, he's the one who was Rwandan. Yes, I speak 5 languages. No English yet, but working on it.
So what happened to St. Louis as a refugee?
Actually, you know what? It's easier to live here. I decided to stay here after my husband died, mostly because of my son. I didn't want to take him away from his family. I like it. I made more friends. I'm happy. I'm focused on my future, and that's the best place to live.
Why, after 50 years of colonization, after the massacre, did the change occur that ended the hatred?
Okay, actually, you know what? That's a very good question. The government today is the same people, the parents, they freed the country in 1950s. The first massacre, it was 1954. So the Tutsis, they freed the country and they went to the country in the borders. So these people who came back, a Patriot Front, it is the children of those who were gone in 1950s. So they came back because no one wanted to help us. Everybody watched us dying and nobody intervened. They came back to fight the Hutus. They came back to protect the country and get the country, and because they were tired of living in the countries as refugees. So without them, I would not be standing here today. So they did an amazing job. Today, it's completely different. Everybody care for each other and try to forget what happened and move on with their lives. So, yeah. Yes.
Were any of the bad brought to justice?
That's a very good question. I was hoping someone will ask me that one. The problem is today with these Hutus who did, kill us and many others, if they confess of the crimes they committed, they only get 5 years. Guess where they end up going? They end up going to the homes they lived in when they did the genocide. So the survivors, they have to deal with them. The neighbors that are back. They come back from jail, and whenever they go to market or whatever they do, they see them. It's very, very hard for a survivor. It's very hard for a survivor to live around that. It's very tough. That's why I feel sorry for people who live there today. The survivors who live there now. They brought them to justice. Only 5 years, you killed like 100 people. You deserve to live in jail for 100 years. So it's tough. Yes. Anyone? Yes.
You said that they were brainwashed by the government. Were they children or like adult soldiers?
Oh, what I was talking about is the Hutu power. They had this radio. It was a Hutu radio broadcast where they were insulting the Tutsis and asking them you have to leave the country, we're going to kill you. So all these bad Hutus, they were listening to this bad radio where other Hutus, they were telling them, hey, if you don't kill them, it's a threat. So they were kind of like brainwashing them to go and kill them like that. The Hutus, they can stay in power. That's what I was talking about before. So, anyone?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Williams, for sharing your story with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.